Hi everyone, this is coming to you from Education for All. We are looking at a problem on the board under trigonometry and modeling. Trigonometry and modeling. We have a question here with, of course, sub questions. This question is asking us to find expressions involving x, y, I, and b for the area of triangle T1. This triangle here, the smaller triangle is T1, and the bigger triangle is called T2. So we're going to find the area of both of these two triangles, and then we'll find the area of the whole triangle, which is the large triangle. And then we are going to prove something here, that the sine of A plus B is equals to sine A cos B plus cos A sine B. These are the addition formula, which you've come across already. We've used them a couple of times. And we know what they are. So you are given another condition, that use all four variables in part A. So in answering this part A, which is these three questions here, area of the triangles, you should use this formula, excuse me, area of a triangle, which states that the area is equals to half AB, the sine of theta. Of course, you know this formula. You know how to use it. Say you are given a triangle like this, and this is theta here, and you have A, B on this side, yeah, and you are given another triangle, for example. Now this is theta here, and you have this time B is here, A is here. So how do we use this formula? Area of a triangle. Area of a triangle. One half A, B, the sine of theta. So what does it mean? This AB and theta, the three of them are related. That is the angle between the two lines. The angle has to be here between these two lines for this formula to work. If, for example, now this theta is here and B is here, we cannot use this formula here because the angle is in the wrong place. The angle has to be here between the two sides, AB. But now the angle is here. What is this side? We need this side. This side now is unknown, so we can't use this formula. Yeah? So that is why I put B here, so that we can see the angle is between the two sides, A and B. So that is how to use this formula. That I expect you to know this. So that is what we are given. This body is moving. Why? Correct. Fine. Now let's find area of T1. That is this triangle here you see. T1 is this triangle. This is triangle T1 and it has Y here and is given B as the angle. That's all we know for T1. You have B, the angle, and the length, because this line is perpendicular to this line here, so it forms 90 degrees. So therefore, this Y here is your hypotenuse. And this is the angle B. And what is this side? And what is this side? Yeah, this is why. So we are interested more in this side. Forms with the angle. So to find this angle here, and you are given the opposite hypotenuse, so if we say sine of B is equals to the opposite, that is this line. Suppose we say this is P and Z. Yeah, we'll label it like this. So sine of B is the opposite, which is P n all over the hypotenuse, which is hypotenuse is PZ, which is Y. That's what you get for sine of B. But we are told to find the area. So the area, we need this length. It's this length that we need. Yeah? Because it's half AB sine theta. So we need this length. So how do you get this length? This length, Zn or Nz, is adjacent to this angle. So which means if you are looking at hypotenuse and adjacent, use cosine. Cosine of cosine of B is equals to adjacent, which is Nz, divided by the hypotenuse, which is Y. So therefore, Nz, so now we come here. Sorry for my markers, they get dried up quickly. I'm using a different color. So we take it from here. We now have cos of B is equals to Nz all over Y. So Y cosine of B is Nz. This is what we get. Yeah? For this length. So now if we want to find the area of this triangle T1, which is given as half AB sine theta. So it's going to be half this line, sine of B. So it's going to be, so I'll just say T1, that's the area. Half I, if we say Y is our A, our B, which is now Y cos B, then the sine of theta, sine of B. So which boils down to, this one will have Y times Y. This one will give us T1 is equals to Y squared cos B sine B. Correct. That is 9 minutes. That is the area of this T1. Although this answer is correct, this is correct answer. Walk through the problem, will arrive at this solution here. But what the question is asking us to do with respect to the answer we arrive at, we are wrong. Because the question asks us to find expressions involving x, y, a, and b. Here we have just y and b. Y is X and I, they are missing. X and A are missing. So this answer is correct, but what they ask us to do, we haven't done it the correct way. So although your answer is correct, but you will get 0. You will score 0 for this question because you don't follow the instructions. I purposely did this one for you to understand what the question is asking you to do. This is correct answer, but with respect to the requirements of the question, it now becomes invalid, wrong. So let's do the other way. Now, we want to find the area of triangle T1, but we want to involve X, Y, A, and B. That is, these angles and this length to be included in the answer, right? So in order for us to be able to do that, we have to consider triangle T2, because what we need here, we need this length. If I say this is PQ, this line is PQ, yeah? And when you look at this triangle now, triangle T1, you have this as the hypotenuse because this is the right angle here, 90 degrees, pointing this side. So this is your hypotenuse. You have the angle here, B. So this is your opposite side. But you need this length, PQ, because PQ, you will get a relationship from triangle T2 that will give you PQ here. So to get PQ, in order for you to get all these variables in one equation, you should look at triangle T2. So when you look at triangle T2, from there, you can get PQ. So triangle T2 will come there first. T2, we are considering triangle T2. You know that this is the angle opposite this side. This is the angle adjacent to this length, which we require. We are now looking for, and we have the hypotenuse. And in a trigonometric function, if you want to express trig function, when you have your adjacent side and the opposite side, which trig function do you use? You use the cosine, because cos of A now will give you the adjacent, which is x, all over the hypotenuse, adjacent, which is PQ, all over to over hypotenuse, and hypotenuse, x. So now your PQ becomes x. Sorry, your PQ becomes x cos A if we cross multiply. Now you will have x times cosine of A is equals to PQ. So now we've got an expression for PQ. It's x cos A. So now having this side, we have this side. We can now find we now know what this is, this PQ. We now know what this length is. We can now find the area of this triangle, T1. Because T1, we know the formula is given to us here, half AB. So T1 now is 1/2 times A, which is this length, PQ. Let me just say PQ, half AB, times Y, this is the other length, and sine of theta. And sine of, and what is theta? Sine B. Sine B. So this gives us T1 is equals to, and what is 1/2, and what is PQ? PQ is x cos theta times x cosine of A times y times the sine of b. So if you just tidy this one up, you get 1/2 xy cos a sine b, the cosine of a, the sine of b. So you can now see that all the 4 variables, we have them in one equation. X, Y, A, B. 1/2 xy cos A sine B. So this is how they want you to solve this problem. In that case, we now have this answer here. T1, 1/2 xy cosine of A sine of B. That is the answer to problem 1. Thank you for watching. Follow the next video for the second part.